Tabu, are you there?
Yeah, I am, Shaka.
Now, Tabu, very briefly, walk us through the way in which you found yourself involved in these Panama Papers.
My journey of involvement with the Panama Papers reporting began in November last year when I met Will Fisbon of the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists at a journalist workshop in South Africa at the University of Witwatersrand. And from that conversation, we established a professional relationship, which has, of course, endured with time. And therefore, after building confidence, he did look me in on a major project that the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists was doing. And this was related to the Panama Papers. And at that time, every discussion was extremely confidential. And I was subjected, like all other collaborating reporters, to the operating procedures and the commitments that we had to undertake. One of which was actually confidentiality, and two, to agree on a timeline when we will all begin to publish the stories. And I should say that it was amazing that all collaborating journalists, almost about 427 of those on the African continent, were able to abide by the timeline when it was agreed that we will all start getting out the material. And so, in the African context, we do have the African Network for Centers of Investigative Reporters, or ANCI, which is based in South Africa, that helped with decoding the highly technical financial documents and giving meaning and using open source data to verify that information. And ICIJ continued to provide technical support and also guidance in terms of how, first of all, to search the relevant documents among a count of more than 11 million, and how to make sense of those, and networking the reporters to get and share information and comments from people who were either adversely named in those reports or people who held accounts abroad. And in the case of the story that I did, the first story that I did regarding Heritage Oil and Gas Company, using the Fonseca Mossack law firm to relocate its business from to the Mauritius in order to avoid payment of tax that the Uganda government was laying on its sale of interest in the Ugandan oil field. Heritage had initially declined to respond directly to the request of the Daily Monitor newspaper where I work, and we were only able to get their comment on that story through The Guardian, because there was another journalist at The Guardian newspaper in the UK who was also collaborating on the project. And of course, we have, as a matter of fact, there had to be multiple stages of online security verification that enabled us to transact business or communication among ourselves and with ICIJ and ANCIR in South Africa without breaches.
Now, Tabu, if, for example, an ordinary Straight Talk Africa viewer or listener through the radio stream were in fact watching or listening to this program, what would you say that this story is really so important to such an extent that it affects him?
First, it is the very fact that individual journalists actually networked and produced content that ordinarily has been preserved, if you like, of legacy media houses. The publication of these stories by media houses was as a result of the effort of individual journalists, and the media houses were not involved initially as institutions. And I think that sort of breaks the walls and monopoly of legacy media. So that's one important element. But also, two, it you know what happened in Iceland and how in Britain the Prime Minister, had to struggle to defend the investment that his dad had registered under the Panama, which was revealed in the Panama Papers. You can understand that the impact of the stories were wide-ranging and across the globe. And I think in that sense, probably it is a leak, which obviously you can compare to the Snowden's, if not higher. So broadly speaking, on those bases, and there's still continuing stories coming out of the Panama Papers. And at this point, it is too early to predict fully what impact the reporting will have.
Now,